of this country long ago. Still die upon them. I fear pain. A cage. To stay behind bars until use and old age accept them, and all chance of valor has gone beyond recall or desire.
I decided that every day when I rise from my bed, I will ask myself, what can I do to resist? And so I've chosen to resist government lies and propaganda. Every day I resist war. I resist the daily assaults to earth dignity. I'm proud to proclaim whose side I'm on. I'm on the side of truth. I'm on the side of justice. And I'm on the side of peace.
You are tuned into Quantum Connections, where you get your Truth Frequency news only on Truth Frequency Radio. We give you the real news that you cannot normally find. We highlight how events of today affect the future, present, and past. We also show you how the subjects dwell on, receive our emotions and discussions. We focus on love, life, pertaining to that. And now, listen closely, because we are live. And we are live.
Good evening, everybody. I hope everybody is real and live and well. And thank you very much, Brooks, for what you're doing for me today. I so appreciate this. I mean, this is a big load of work you're done. So we are currently live streaming on TFRlive.com, and that is our home station. And we are also simulcasting all over the place. Only Brooks can tell you where we're going, because we have a special broadcast tonight. Brooks, where are we being broadcast?
We're everywhere. We're on Foxhole, we're on Twitch, we're on Facebook, we're on DLive, we're on Twitter, we're on YouTube, we're on Rumble, and we are on Rockfin Live.
Yes. Hi, world. How you doing? Okay. So with us tonight is Susan Lindauer. She is a fellow host here on TFRlive.com. She has been a huge what's that word? What's the megaphone of truth?
Whistleblower.
That too. Yes, pain in the butt. Troublemaker. She was like the first. Let's see, what was it? The first white person that was in prison. And I have respect for you, ladies. I heard your show Sunday.
Stolen federal money. A wonderful and an exciting of events where my that was stolen by Hillary Clinton to pay Andrew McCabe and Bruce Orr. Hillary Clinton going through the back. They're kind of a backdoor of prosecuting Hillary Clinton. And in addition to the $80 billion that we captured, I've also, this is the same source of the money who's been holding the $2.3 trillion that was disclosed by Donald Rumsfeld the day before 9/11. And I can finally tell everybody that I'm the one who's been holding it for the past 10 years. I've been safeguarding the money since 2012.
Okay, so you're saying that you're safe. Bear with me here.
I was. You mentioned my background. I was the second non-Arab American ever indicted on the Patriot Act for my opposition to the Iraq War. In real life, I negotiated the return of the weapons inspectors with Iraq's ambassador, and I got everything kind of off and running. And then once we got the CIA and the Defense Intelligence Agency watching everything that I did Once we got it to a level where the Americans would agree to it, then I'm the one who turned it over to the United Nations Security Council. And within 48 hours, the Iraqi to ratify the states had already agreed to. But the Bush White House, yes, the Iraqi client, and they for giving advance warning about 9/11. Before the 9/11 attack, the Iraqi government invited the FBI as part of this framework that we negotiated. With investigation, interviews, make arrests. So I called Attorney General John Ashcroft. Are we getting blowback here?
The listeners are saying it sounds great. Carry on.
Okay, great. If there's blowback, okay. Okay. I'm the one, General John Ashcroft, on August 8th, and given a special phone number that I'm only supposed to call if I not reach my CIA or Defense Intelligence handlers. And the 9/11 attack was the only time I've reached it. And I said that we were looking for any fragment of broadcast across all federal agencies, seeking any intelligence involved, airplane bombings, airplane hijackings, and a strike on the World Trade Center as a known target. And honestly, it sounds like there's a little bit of blowback. Do you hear anything?
It's just Skype. It's Skype is such a junky service. Yeah, you can't help it. Just keep pushing through it.
Okay. Sorry, guys.
Hang on, before you go, before you carry on, hang on, because I wanted to ask. You said you have the money. What do you mean you have the money? You have control of it, or you know where it is? And
know where it is. I know where. It is. I know.
Okay, so who has it right now?
I know the whole history. It is a federal inmate who's been in prison since 1999, and after my whole ordeal with over 9/11 and Iraqi pre-war intelligence, the Pentagon came to me and they said, look, the Defense Intelligence Agency was like, Susie, the guy sat in my living room and said, our soldiers are bleeding out. We cannot do this anymore. The Iraqi pre-war intelligence was such a disaster that, I was scapegoated for it. And they're like, the soldiers, we've got suicides every 22 minutes. We've got homeless vets. We've got amputees, divorces, post-traumatic stress. They can't hold jobs. They can't do anything. And then you're coming in and you're telling them that we lied to everybody.
When did the DOD come to you?
2012.
2012. Okay.
10 years ago they came to me and said, we can't. And so they said, we have a special project for you. You since you're involved with 9/11, we think it'd be really cool if here's the guy who's got you're probably going to be more interested in the $2.3 trillion and the Donald Rumsfeld, you know all about that stuff. And so we think that you should be the one who goes and interacts with this federal inmate. It's perfect for you because you've just gotten out of jail. You've just got out of Carswell prison. And so your situation is that you're you're going to be able to relate to each other, and you can get him to hopefully reveal where this is. And I did.
Okay. So I have a before we go further, hang on. Okay, so this federal inmate. All right. So it seems like this is a key person. Who is this person? You can't say?
I'm not going to give you his name. I will tell you why. He is exceptionally gifted at identifying people outside prison and persuading them to commit crimes on his behalf. And he is a holy terror. He really is. he has two Pentagon accounts valued at $400 billion.
Okay, so hang on. Let's see. You bring me information. Got more questions, of course, but okay. So monies, those 200 accounts, all of them. How does he have control of them? Did he steal them from the Pentagon and put them in
a black budget of the Pentagon and the CIA? And so while he was working in the CIA, he got into the computer. It was all newly computerized stuff, and there was still a lot of paper. And so he took the paper and he changed the names of the accounts, and he changed the custodians and all of this. So he changed his security codes. So it was he's been hiding it for
so are these funds right now, they are they stashed in bank accounts, or does he have a hole dug in the ground somewhere?
They're in bank accounts all over the world, everywhere.
All kinds of bank accounts?
All over, from India and Pakistan to New Zealand, Singapore, Hong Kong, Germany, Switzerland, London.
US?
No. That's one place that he does not have.
Alpha Bank?
The what?
Alpha Bank?
No.
I have to ask. I gotta ask it.
Oh, like, is that your home bank? No, mostly.
No, I did have a bank with them.
Okay. Well, mostly it's Deutsche Bank and HSBC.
HSBC. I got you. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm taking notes. Brooks, do you have any questions yet?
No, I was gonna say could be convinced to commit minor crimes for slightly less than that, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, this guy has visitors who come in from MacDill Air Base. And one of the in Florida, they come and they visit him, and he is not in Florida. I don't want to give anybody that impression, but they come from Florida to visit him in prison, and he has been known to pay them off. He has confidential informers who pays off. So
okay, so here's a good question. Okay, so we're talking about trillions of dollars that disappeared and went all over the place. Would you venture to say that he is the richest man on the planet?
Oh, yes. And he sees himself that way. One of the things he did was he bought from inside prison. Okay. Inside prison, 15 years into his sentence, he bought Forbes magazine.
Wow.
Girl, you just wait a minute. You just messed up, honey.
Magazine was purchased by this guy.
Does he still own it?
Yes. Oh, yes.
You just messed up right there.
No. You'll never find out who it is.
Oh.
You'll never find out who it is.
Those of us who are in crypto are probably going to look at this, because I know people are looking it up right now. So they're racing to the computers.
Okay, you'll never figure it out. You'll never.
Okay.
Figure it out.
All right. But whale media, really? That's funny because of the cryptos. Anyway, so.
I know, but you're never going to figure it out.
Okay. No. I'm not going to push you on it.
And it was purchased with stolen federal money.
So they own Forbes. So all this horrible news.
This guy is already a tycoon from inside prison.
By the way, I just want to let people know, if you tuned in late, Susan Lindauer was one of the early Patriot Act victims, and she's divulging information now about the funds that were stolen during the 9/11 attack. And some of those funds are being controlled by a man who is currently in prison, and he is worth a lot of money. He may actually be the richest man in the world. That catches everybody up.
He's way richer than Jeff Bezos and
Gates,
whatever,
Musk.
Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk combined. He's
because of the stolen goods. Was he worth that much before?
Well, it's because of the stolen money.
So he has enough to buy countries. Does he have any money? Does he have any money in Ukraine because that seems to be where all the rock stars and movie stars and politicians are going to
probably
fly home with
so.
planes full of cash.
He's got more money than George Soros for sure, and he's about to get out of prison. So he has not been able. What he's been able to do is he's been living off the earnings from his stolen federal money, but he's now about to be able to access the underlying accounts.
Hold on a second. How is he wait a minute, he's in prison. How is he living on the earnings?
He invests the earnings from inside prison.
Wait a minute. Okay, so we're gonna now I'm getting a better idea. He's not in a prison. He's in a country club called prison.
Well, you haven't been in one of these prisons. It's a prison. It is.
I know people who have been in such prisons, and it's still a prison. You can't sit there and wheel and deal and everything like that unless you got your lawyer coming to visit.
Well, then he's got all kinds of people. McDill visits him. I mean, he's got people.
So do me a
this
favor. I want to visit him. I'll visit him. Okay. If he's the richest man in the world, I'll visit him. In fact, just say, hey, Joe, I'll plug something for your whatever business. And, no, I'm not a hoe. I ain't doing that, but you know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, let's be real. Right. It's like, what kind of business you got? You want me to advertise on my channel? Da, da, da. It's like, hell, hook me up, man. And I'll shut up about who you are. No, I'm teasing. I tease you guys. Hey, I wouldn't live in these wonderful surrounds that I'm in if I had a hell of a lot more money, like that kind of stuff, But anyway, okay, Susan. So I'm glad you're a lot happier today, because yesterday you were so stressed out. Okay.
Well, I tell you, it's I think that I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen. I think that
well,
it's very frustrating. I should not have given you that detail of what some of the things he's bought.
That's okay. I was just playing. I'm just, and it doesn't have any owners on it, so there, it's all good. Anyway,
but you know what today is, right?
What is today?
Today is D-Day. Today is Durham Day.
Durham Day, yes.
So tell us about that.
The trial started today of Jussie Sussman. And it isn't so much Sussman. Sussman's going to go down. There's no doubt about that. The 87-count indictment is going to put him away for life. But
I don't know, because they're saying that Hillary Clinton's the jury pool they were running up against all kinds of Hillary Clinton supporters who were like, I'm for Hillary.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's not so much that Sussman is on trial. It is all the people that are going to testify in this trial. Joffe is going to testify. Probably we're going to see Brennan. We're going to see Peter Strzok. We're going to see some big hitters. And my assertion has been for about a couple of years now that every single breathing body in the January 5th, 2017 Oval Office meeting should be tried for treason, and they should all go to Gitmo or worse. I think, and I go through the list of who Executive 1 is and Tech Company 1 and all this, it's almost everybody on that list. The only person I can't see on that list in that indictment is Samantha Power. Susan Rice is there, Clapper's there, Brennan's there, Andrew
McCabe is there, I hope.
Andrew McCabe, Comey Chameleon, Joe Biden, they're all there.
Hang on a second. You said Samantha Power is not going to be there? Wait a minute. She was one of the people that got the FISA warrant.
Yes, but I don't see her. See, the thing about these indictments is they list people in code names. Like, I didn't know who Tech Executive 1 was until about 8 weeks ago when they revealed it was Rodney Joffe. I was guessing it was maybe Mark Zuckerberg, but no. It was Rodney Joffe, and it all fits because Rodney Joffe is the guy who was the CEO of the company that had the access to the DNS data That's the digital name server data of the White House. He was the contract company that held that clearance. So he was not only listening in on the president's private communications, he was faking presidential communications because he had access to his DNS.
Wow. Okay. Faking presidential communications.
He was faking communications with Alpha Bank. Those communications never took place. They never took place, but they are in the system as having taken place. And it was Joffe that originated them, or someone who works for him, and he knew about it.
Wow. That is so dirty.
Sussman received, for somebody who was working on his own and not for his client, Sussman received no less than 21 payments from the Clinton campaign.
When were the payment? Let me tell you dates to watch. Watch October 2015 and November 2015, and watch October 2016 and November 2016. Okay. Those specific months, those specific years, because those are the two time periods that Hillary Clinton received stolen federal money.
Interesting.
And this is when my stolen monies came in, and I have a record. I can prove that Chip Tatum and I spoke on October 24th, and he told me that he'd been called down to sign for stolen monies on October 24th. On October 25th, Hillary Clinton and Lockheed Martin paid Terry McAuliffe's campaign PAC. On October 27th and October 29th, Terry McAuliffe's Common Good Virginia PAC paid Andrew McCabe's wife. And the FBI...
$700,000.
Yes. And that was newly recovered stolen federal money.
Brooks, wait a minute. Didn't this couple get money from something? Wasn't there a scam involved in which you were shorted money for this couple? Do I remember rightly? Something about Mississippi or Louisiana or something?
Oh, well, that was Terry McAuliffe stole $5 million from the state of Mississippi. They were going to build an electric car plant down there in 2011. Terry McAuliffe went down there as kind of the bag man, and he took in the EB-5 money, which is money that comes from China to put Chinese nationals to work in American companies and kind of front them a little bit of money. Well, Hillary's brother, Hugh Rodham, ran a company called Gulf States Capital in Gulfport, Mississippi, and it took in about 83% of the EB-5 money and distributed it in the United States. Well, they distributed $5 million to the state of Tennessee, which Terry McAuliffe stole. He never broke ground, never mowed the grass on the site. He stole the money, went to Virginia, and paid for the governor's seat. That's how he won with that $5 million. State of Mississippi sued him for the money. They are still suing him for the money. And now it's up to $8 million with interest. But he's never going to repay it. Justice just doesn't come to this guy.
Yeah, he's with Hillary. He's in the same boat. And he is such a crook.
Oh, but yeah.
He had received stolen federal money, and that's the money that they used to pay Andrew McCabe and Bruce Orr's wife,
Nellie
Orr, at GPS.
And Nellie is going to testify in this trial. Now, she wasn't in the January 5th meeting, but she's going to testify in this trial. And the thing is, the questions that Durham's team has for these witnesses is going to implicate them in the crime. They're going to be charged out of this trial.
Do you think they will? Do you think they will be charged at the trial, or will they come in and take the Fifth Amendment?
Well, it doesn't matter because all the evidence is there. Durham is counting on them taking the Fifth Amendment. In fact, Sussman tried to make a motion to dismiss the case because Durham would not give Joffe immunity. They wanted to give Joffe immunity, which would have been the same as giving Oliver North immunity, and we know what happened when that happened. He doesn't need to give Joffe immunity. Rodney Joffe's going to spend the rest of his days in prison.
Good. All these people who have been helping Hillary Clinton are so dirty. The corruption factor in Washington. That's why I have a big smile on my face today.
And why do you think Durham doesn't come out in public? Durham doesn't come out in public because he's not afraid, but threats have been made against him and his team. Look at the threats that have been made against the prosecuting team going after the 2,000 jackasses. The 2,000 jackasses are all going to go to prison for election tampering. The prosecution team and the witnesses have had several death threats, and now they have to hire security to protect them. These people they're going to try to stop this because they know if these 2,000 jackasses go to jail, yeah, there were 50,000 of them, so what? If these 2,000 go to prison.
Okay. Time out, guys. We have to go to break.
Oh, okay.
Guys, you thought this segment was great. Wait till you get into the next one. Okay, so don't go anywhere. You're listening to TFRlive.com. This is Quantum Connections. I'm Lucky One. Actually, you're listening from a whole lot of different platforms tonight. Okay, we'll be right back. Stand by.
Fail big. That's right. Fail big. You only live once. So do what you feel passionate about. Take chances professionally. Don't be afraid to fail. There's an old IQ test was 9 dots. And you had to draw 5 lines with a pencil within these 9 dots without lifting the pencil. The only way to do it was to go outside the box. So don't be afraid to go outside the box. Don't be afraid to think outside the box. Don't be afraid to fail big, to dream big.
Discover the extraordinary powers of intuitive healing with pain transmutation, a method of holistic healing for the human soul, body, mind, and emotions. If you are looking for answers and a deep understanding of how to help yourself and the people around you to live a happier, healthier life, this is the right place for you. Learn how to read your soul's history in the Akashic Records. Remove negative energy attachments from your astral body and start the process of inner and outer pain transmutation. Join Pain Transmutation Community to get started on the path of intuitive healing. Change your energetic state. Manifest new and exciting experiences. Re-energize your life and build inspiring connections with others in our community.
We exist in the security and comfort of our worlds. Paved paths, lights, and manicured lawns give us peace of mind that our world has been tamed, and we are its master. But other worlds exist on the edge of our sight. On the edge of our awareness, the shadows move. The woods fill with the unblinking eyes of the nightmares our ancestors warned us about. Some of us have stumbled into these forgotten realms, whether on purpose or completely by surprise. I'm Brent Thomas. Join us on the Paranormal Portal Friday and Saturday nights from 10 p.m. to midnight Pacific Standard Time as we journey into the world of the paranormal phenomena.
Enter the Paranormal Portal if you dare.
No hate. No hype, no fear. We are TFR, your protection from deception.
Anyway, as I was saying, before I was interrupted by the break.
But now you know why I have a big smile on my face. I've been waiting for, how long have we all been waiting for Hillary Clinton to get hit?
A long time. We don't want her to die of natural causes. Let me put it that way.
Look, I've been waiting for a long time for you to get justice.
We should all savor this moment, but I want to focus on Hillary.
Yeah,
because
that's
the
where
Durham trial. This is D-Day.
That's where the ship is
all
aimed.
Waiting for this moment.
The ship is aimed at that target, but there's a lot of people on this Titanic, a lot. And the cheat by mail system is the most successful business model the global syndicate has ever had. They've been using it in countries all over the world. It's never been used to such an extent that it was in 2020. They got caught. If they put these 2,000 jackasses, and the reason I call them jackasses instead of mules is because mules cannot breed, and these bastards do. So that's why they're jackasses. If they go to jail, it's going to discourage anybody else from trying to make an extra grand in the 2022 election.
Yeah. Yeah, it's this conspiracy. It's a conspiracy charge. They deserve to do some serious time. But I want to come back to Hillary Clinton because I want to share that that Chip Tatum had talked about on my radio show during the 2016 election. He came on several times to talk about the dirty surveillance that was being that Trump was being subjected to, and how they were targeting Trump's children. They were they were digging into the marriages and trying to push for divorces for Trump Jr. and Ivanka and it was like a total disclosure and a roadmap of what they were going to, of what ended up happening. And I remember saying to Chip on my radio show that it was worse than it sounded worse than Watergate.
Oh yeah, and the attempts on their lives. They went after. You mentioned Ivanka. Ivanka and her kids got on a helicopter to go from New York to D.C. and one of the helicopter engines blew like 2 minutes off the ground. They had to turn around and go back and land. The whole cabin filled with smoke. They almost killed Ivanka and her kids.
They also went after her and her kids when she was taking a flight on a passenger plane, general public passenger plane.
That's right.
They accosted her right there on the plane, in her face and everything, and she couldn't do anything about it. Her children were right there. They had to get law enforcement to get that guy off the plane, or away from her at least. And he was a media guy or something. Huh?
The insanity factor, the psychosis here is pretty intense. But it's interesting because all of what Chip Tatum was talking about, and they reactivated Operation Pegasus, which was George Bush Sr., Daddy Bush's original operation from the 1980s and 1990s, and that was what Daddy Bush against Ross Perot, and it had not been activated since the Ross Perot George Bush Sr. fight, election fight, when they went after his family with dirty surveillance. So it was like Hillary Clinton was like, she was a monster. She really was a monster.
Still is.
Yeah, still is. A lot of dead bodies on that trail. A lot.
So it's just I just feel like I'm just like yesterday I was very distressed, and today I'm just like, yay.
Justice is coming. Yeah.
Well, it is a multi-front war. I use the word war figuratively because we are actually fighting a proxy war against Russia, but it's a proxy war against the American family. That's who they're really at war with. They're just using Russia to wear down the American family. That's who they're going after. They could care less about Russia.
politician
it's part of the Great Reset. I mean, it's another, it's too convenient that we've gone from COVID to Ukraine, and now nobody wants to talk about COVID.
No, we're not done with that. That's for sure. Listen, there was something else in the headlines today. New York Post posted it. Fusion GPS and Steel has to turn over 22 emails to John Durham.
There's not enough, though. There's 38 emails they really want. They forced them to release 22 of them. But the other 16 mention stuff. They're claiming attorney-client privilege. That's the only way they're holding back these emails. But that's why they let their attorneys do all the business, so they could claim attorney-client privilege. Those 16 emails have...
Yeah, let's do a count. Let's do a count of how many people in Congress and in Senate are lawyers. How many presidents we've had were lawyers.
A lot.
Little mental exercise for those of you who are listening to.
100 in the House and Senate, probably 300.
So anything they say or do, it can be considered attorney-client.
As long as they're a client. And see, Sussman's playing both sides of the fence here. He's saying, I'm just acting as a private citizen, doing this on my own. I'm not representing anybody in particular. But on the other hand, he's claiming attorney-client privilege because he was the attorney. He was the attorney for the DNC.
The consigliere.
The consigliere, right.
Wow. That's...
And you know what's going to happen when they indict Joffe, and they will, it's not going to be in relation to this trial. It's going to be under the RICO Act. They're going to go after them as organized criminals.
So that is a very good question. And they should. I agree, because they have conspired to. Everybody who took part in this conspiracy.
Well,
think about it. Andrew McCabe, Hillary Clinton bribed. That's paying Bruce Orr's wife, and which is already confirmed, and paying Andrew McCabe's wife, which is also confirmed by the FBI. That's bribery. They should be. This should be a fast indictment. This should this should be something that Durham should be able to, and the fact that they use stolen money to pay them off, that's RICO as well. That's financial, skullduggery tied to the Pentagon and stealing money out of the Pentagon. Why is my federal inmate in prison for 30 years and Hillary Clinton and Andrew McCabe, who received the same money that he did, they just took his money? Seriously, think about that.
Whoa.
Not the same amount, but the same blood money.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying the same amount of money. I'm like, what?
No. Blood money,
okay.
but it's the same. It's the same source of the money that he took from. It's different amounts, big difference of amounts, but it's still the same concept. There's still stealing from the Pentagon to pay for all this stuff. Why is Hillary allowed to steal from the Treasury and nobody else is? Other people go to jail for that stuff.
Right.
Well, once they get the RICO Act opened, then it gives them more powers of asset forfeiture. It gives them the ability to freeze bank accounts, to put ankle bracelets on people, and that's going to really harsh their gig.
Well, here's the sad thing about it. Okay, so we have to understand, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying there's no hope. I'm just saying we have to get the... Huh?
I'm very sad.
Well, I don't want people to... I can see that. Yeah. I don't want people to lose hope or anything like that, but the billionaires, the swindlers... I'm not saying this practice is a bad thing. We should protect our monies from the government. If you have a good chunk of change, it is best to put it in a trust where it can't be taken from you or anything like that. Now, if you've gotten ill-gotten goods, I don't know what to do or say about that. I'm not a lawyer in that respect, financial lawyer at all. But the Hillary Clinton has all that Hillary Clinton campaign or the HRC fund, whatever the hell they call themselves now. But they've got all that sewn up, just like Bill Gates and all your multi-billionaires. They've got all their money sewn up in a trust of sorts, and they've got it set up so that it cannot be taken by the government. And if it's ill-gotten, how do you get it back?
That's what Jeffrey Epstein thought too, and it's not holding out.
He's dead now.
Yeah, but they're able to break it when it comes down to RICO. That's where the RICO comes in.
Yep.
But they killed him before all this became public.
But once you get into RICO, racketeering, they absolutely can. They can go into all of these people's accounts. They can take their houses, their trusts, everything.
Right.
Because the trusts were formed as part of a criminal conspiracy trying to hide money. So it's like a money laundering, in fact. Yeah, they can take it. Trust me, they can. Many criminals have tried to use that to escape, and it doesn't work.
I thought I'd ask, because that's the thing, So here's my next thing, because I know it's quasi-related, because Bill Gates is a multimillionaire. He's snapping up farmland. There's a formula shortage in our country. Isn't it funny how just a couple of years ago, maybe not that long, Bill Gates put a big investment in some kind of formula replacement something, right? Okay. Now all of a sudden, the one formula manufacturing company here in the United States in Michigan got shut down because of biological contaminants that made children sick. Well, isn't that awfully convenient?
Well, actually, the CEO of that company in Michigan made a public statement today that the FDA made no discovery of any contamination at their plant. They haven't been cited for anything. They have a 99.5% health rating. The FDA shut them down and will not let them reopen and will not give them a reason.
Wow. Even with the 99.5%.
The CEO is livid. That's why I went public today. He said, I'm going to refute everything that's been said. No contamination was ever linked to our plant. No children were harmed by our formula. Nothing of the sort ever happened. The FDA has us closed down and will not reopen us, and they won't tell us why.
Well, the FDA is already crooked. We already know that they're crooked anyway, the Food and Drug Administration.
Well, sure.
All the different businesses they shut down without cause because of some bizarre...
There's going to be a congressional investigation of that point.
That'll never go anywhere. That'll never go anywhere. Those officials will sit before the congressional committee and pick their nose and never say nothing. Congress has no power at all. Nothing. They are fascists, and there's nothing that can be done against the FDA.
So let's dial back, because I want to see where Susan was coming from on this in regards to the FDA. What angle were you coming in at? Because FDA is Food and Drug Administration. So where were you going with this, Susan?
Well, I was just going that the Republicans in Congress have vowed to hold hearings in the House once they take the House in November. And so
hearings about what?
About the baby formula.
Oh, okay.
And they're asking the state attorney general of Tennessee and a couple of other state attorney generals to investigate racketeering and price gouging and what action. They're taking it from a different angle because they can't get any traction from the U.S.'s side of things. So they're going through the state legislators to try to get to the bottom of why this company got shut down and what was it?
Well, if Tennessee finally bucks up and does the right thing, they've been very lukewarm, insipid is a better word, insouciant about. I got plenty of words about Americans' rights and the things we need in our lives and everything versus government tyranny. Okay, so. I'm not too fond of Bill Lee. He has to do something remarkable in order to get my vote again. Yeah. So anyway,
well,
I live in. Yeah, I live in Tennessee, just in case y'all didn't know.
Anyway. Chuck in the chat room is saying an agreement has been reached to reopen the baby formula plant. Evidently,
Good.
that's
I'll
just
double check that right
just
now.
come
Okay.
out.
All right. Excellent.
Yeah, but it's going to take a little while for this product to get out there. But I will check on that right now.
I'll bet they can turn it on pretty fast.
You could do what we did when my kids were little. Get a goat.
Dude, no, I'm good.
Oh, yeah. Goat's milk's way better than synthetic formula. Way better.
Well, that's
true.
If I was a little kid, I think having a goat was pretty cool.
I was a kid and I had a goat at one time. We had 2 goats, actually. One was named Billy. The other one was named Annie. Go figure. Okay, just in case, those of you who don't know, okay, goats are called Billies and Nannies. Okay, so we called ours Billy and Annie. Anyway, I think it's a doe goat. Is it a doe goat? Oh, I'm sorry, guys. I just totally derailed the.
I don't know.
A ewe and a ram, sheep.
Right. Okay. New York Post did paste.
Coming back to Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
In Washington, they were all a flutter over the number of Hillary Clinton supporters who were in the jury pool. And they were really worried about whether they were trying to lower expectations that Durham would be able to get convictions with a jury.
No, he needs to do a change in venue. That's what he needs.
Christopher Cooper is is one of Hillary Clinton's judges too.
Is he the one ruling on this? Gosh.
They've got it, but this is like a big trial. So, but he's a huge Hillary supporter.
Is he appointed?
Obama, yeah, but he's
wonderful,
very partisan. So, if they got 20 emails out of 38, I would say that's going pretty well for Durham. If anything that they can get out of this is a good thing.
Well, no, what we want is justice. Okay, and I'm not just talking about Hillary Clinton. I'm talking about the creep that's in prison right now holding hostage our
all of these Samantha Powers kind of folks, the Jaffe guys, I want them all going to jail. I want everybody in the Hillary Clinton network of crooks, the Clinton crime family. I want them all down. Agreed.
Now let's address something that we have not been talking about. Okay, awesome. Something that I lost. Thanks, Brooks. Hang on a minute.
Well, I mean,
did you see the train derail off the tracks as I was?
Because war is justice denied, and we are in the justice cycle right now. The people are clamoring for justice, and if we don't get it, there's gonna be war.
I think that's true, but I think that we are like the Elon Musk taking over Twitter. We are fighting back, and we're winning. When we fight, we win. And the fact that we can get Hillary years, I hoped that he would be in court like 3 years ago, and he's persevered, and we're at this point where this is now happening. I think we're going to have justice, guys. I think that
we don't have much time. The election starts in 60 days. 60 days, the election starts in August, and if we don't get it well on its way by then, it's never going to hit the news.
Well,
okay, so the thing is okay, it would be great if they hauled Hillary off in cuffs tomorrow. I'd be like, yay. But the problem is, and here's my big problem, we absolutely must, regardless if they take Hillary Clinton away in handcuffs or if she dies of a heart attack, I don't care. Even if she lives to a far older age than Kissinger. My point is, we've got to change the laws. We've got to change and stop all these loopholes. The only way we can do that is get Congress overhauled. Congress and Senate, the whole political system, DC Beltway. I mean, J Street, I Street, K Street, all of them.
Is massive. It's massive.
Well, the only way to do that is with the Convention of States. You have to give the Supreme Court the ammo to fix it. You have to make these amendments.
Do you think that's why they're going after the Supreme Court now, Brooks? It's not about abortion. It's about the fact that we're very close to a Convention of States.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it.
Okay.
Well, there can be more than one reason for why they're going after the Supreme Court.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the billion-dollar butcher is about to lose their federal subsidy of $550 million a year. And the reason that's important to the Democrats is they kick back $50 million a year to the DNC. That's a huge hole in the campaign purse for the DNC. That's very hard money to make back up. If this Supreme Court decision goes through, Planned Parenthood will lose their federal subsidy.
You know, and the book sales are not doing so much anymore now that people got Kindle and people have the choice to not buy Hillary's freaking book. But
you know, people actually bought that book.
We talked about it on our show.
That was money laundering. All those books are money laundering. Bernie Sanders, Hillary Clinton, that's all money laundering.
So for the new listeners out there, because I don't know if Brooks has told you this before, but we have talked on this show extensively for years about how the money laundering through book sales works. Okay. So Hillary Clinton writes a book or Obama writes a book. All right. So all the libraries in the United States have to carry this book because colleges are going to require it for some study that they do in politics or poli-sci. Your high school libraries are going to have it. All the school education system and the national education system, which is primarily Democrat and liberal, are going to make everybody in all the different schools and put it in the curriculum that Hillary Clinton's book must be read for this particular assignment. Okay. When that happens, you've got millions of dollars in sales for these books.
It's about 11,000 copies in one slug. That'll put you on the New York Times bestseller list.
Right. And that does get advertised on New York Times bestseller list. It gets talked about on all the morning shows, news shows. And then you've got college graduates saying, yeah, we read this book about Hillary and she did it. Oh, God, shut up already, because we know it's a bunch of lies.
But also you have foundations that will pump in millions of dollars for copies, and they'll just dump them in the trash. They'll dump them in the landfill. No one will ever read them. It's just a way to funnel money into a certain person.
Yes.
Exactly. Yes. So that's what I mean by that one. So when I said, yeah, because book sales are not cutting it, it's because now we have Amazon. Now we've got used book sales, emporiums and stuff like that out there. People will buy the books that they want. They'll trade for books that they want. People are not going out there and buying hardback cover books not in this economy anymore. But, there are some books being bought. They're not going to buy Hillary's book. They're not going to buy Obama's book. They're going to buy something that entertains them or educates them. Huh?
Jill Biden's book did not go very well.
Well, I don't think they care about the Bidens at all. I don't think the DNC gives a rip about those two. They're waiting for Joe to teeter off into the freaking forest out on Camp David.
What happens after November? At what point do you think the Democrats will replace Joe Biden, and who and how will they replace him?
Well, it's not.
I think now they're trying to just.
It's not whether they replace him; it's how they replace him. If they use the 25th Amendment, it's a huge loss of face. If they recall him, that's a huge loss of face. The really only way to get Joe Biden out of office and win, that is to say, blame it on patriots, is to have him assassinated and blame it on patriots. That's the win for them.
Or he keels over because he's due. He keels over and they blame it on the virus because people weren't wearing the masks.
That's another one too, right?
I know it sounds less severe, but that's probably what they're after right now. Psaki is just beside herself. She doesn't know what to say anymore because she's confused because everything keeps changing. And Harris, Hackler Harris is not going to do very well. I don't know.
They want to get rid of them both at the same time, and the only way to do it.
Yeah. How could they get rid of Harris?
Assassination.
Make her take the dirt nap.
Yeah, assassination. That's how they'll do her.
Could they assassinate? They can't assassinate both of them. See, I think
either assassinate her.
They have, because she is so horrendously unpopular and so poorly qualified. I don't think they can get rid of Joe Biden.
Well, I don't tell you why.
Yeah, exactly right. That they're stuck.
You ready? Here's the thing: the Supreme Court right now is in threat status. Oh, we'll get back into this. Okay, Supreme Court in threat status. How are they going to get rid of Harris? We will get into that on the other side. We've got a fantastic discussion between Brooks Agnew, Susan Lindauer, and myself. Everybody stand by. We'll be right back. I'm getting coffee.
Hi, my name is Ella, and I'm 10 years old. I'm one of the millions of children born to parents suffering from the sheeple virus. Symptoms include the inability to think for oneself, the attention span of a goldfish, and a strong belief in government and the mainstream media. It is estimated that 1 out of every 2 children are being raised by parents infected with the sheeple virus. But there is a cure. For as little as 19 cents per day, you can become a TFR supporter and help children like me get their daily dose of truth. Together, we will make sure every child has protection from deception.
Welcome to Hannity, and tonight we're in just moments, the 45th President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, will join us for his first sit-down television interview since leaving the White House.
That's a good thing, not a bad thing. I got along well with Putin, Xi, Kim Jong-un. That's a good thing, not a bad thing. It's been pretty wild when you think about it. During the campaign in 2016, I'd be asked, do you have anything to do with Russia? I say, no. A month later, somebody would say, what do you know about Russia? I kept saying, So I got along well with Putin. I got along well with President Xi until the COVID came in. That's a good thing, not a bad thing. That's a good thing, not a bad thing. That's a good thing, not a bad thing. I got along well with Putin, Xi, Kim Jong-un. That's a good thing, not a bad thing. It's been pretty wild when you think about it. You get impeached for doing nothing wrong, then you get a second impeachment for doing nothing wrong. I had a great life, great company, great business, and now all I do is fighting off investigations. I got along great with President Putin. I liked him. He liked me. That's a good thing, not a bad thing. 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 I got along well with Putin, Xi, Kim Jong-un. That's a good thing, not a bad thing. It's been pretty wild when you think about it. It's a good thing, great thing. As far as North Korea is concerned, I have a great relationship with a certain man that's got great power over North Korea. I like him, he likes me. You take a look at Kim Jong-un and the relationship that I developed. That's a good thing, not a bad thing. That's a good thing, not a bad thing. That's a good thing, not a bad thing. I got along well with Putin, Xi, Kim Jong-un. That's a good.
You are now tuned into the truth frequency.
We are TFR. TFR.
Truth Frequency Radio.
And we're back, everybody. We're going to chill here on this segment. I do want to come in with some breaking news. So somebody had posted, here's a senior investigative reporter and spokesperson at the Southern Poverty Law Center. Got a second. Let me see if I can find it. Not saying center, calling for Twitter censorship if you observe that the Buffalo, New York shooter, plastered the notorious Black Sun symbol, a favorite of the Azov Battalion, at the very top of his manifesto.
That it should be censored?
Twitter, yes, it's being suggested that Twitter censors this. You know, that if anybody talks about this, at the Azov Battalion logo, that
they're neo-Nazis.
Exactly.
They're not neo-Nazis. They're the original Nazis.
The original Nazis. Yeah.
Yeah. So if, and somebody else, Scott McDonald says, if you had told me 10 years ago that a bipartisan foreign policy of the American elite would be to risk nuclear war with Russia so Ukraine neo-Nazis could control Donbass, I would have thought it highly unlikely. So I just wanted to bring that into the discussion too, because we do need to, because all this is connected.
Yeah.
Hence the phrase, you know, the title of the show is Quantum Connections, because everything is connected. And but what I was going to at the end of the last segment was
the profits. They're desperate for money.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, the United States is desperate for money, and this is a source of thievery. I've spent a lot of years investigating the stealing that is at the Pentagon, and it's not the soldiers that are the problem, it's the defense contractors, and they're stealing everything that's not nailed down.
Defense contractors and those who award the defense contractors the contracts. Please let us be clear on this. I've sat in on minutes awarding contracts when I was in the military. The lowest bidder usually got the contract. Okay?
Right.
And there were provisions, those in the NAFI instrumentality, and anybody who's out there in intelligence watching this, go ahead, try me on this. Test me. Anyway, those who were in NAFI instrumentality, they had to abide in the contract also. So if they were late getting a completion done, they got fined for it.
Liquidated damages, right?
But
yeah, they had to pay for damages.
If they shut down their factory.
Say again?
Paid for all the yes, they do. They get paid for all the production that they are forsaking while they're doing the federal government job.
Oh, that's enough. I mean, no. Wait, see, put me in charge of this stuff, okay? First off, okay, you're making a shit ton of money, okay? You are not forfeiting sales because of this. You're getting guaranteed contract, just like
you have to be able to pay your regular employees, and you have to pay. You have to retrofit your equipment to produce whatever the government wants you.
Well, that's part of the costs in the bidding on the contract, and if you can't do it in a more efficient manner, that's your problem, not the government's or the people's money. It's not our problem. It's the company that's running it. Brooks can tell you he knows how to retrofit or refit a manufacturing site to do a certain project, right, Brooks?
That's true. We know how to retool.
Yeah, and that's part of doing business. And if you want to do business with the government and the people's money and have that guaranteed amount of money.
They do give them extra payments for that.
Well, see, let me tell you what they did in Tennessee. Let me tell you something really novel that was done in Tennessee, okay? Well, our roads were notoriously bad, especially the interstates here in Tennessee. Really bad, especially where I-24 and I-75 converge. Okay, horrific. Well, finally, somebody broke I-75. Okay, it was bad. Somebody bumped into one of the barriers or something at the edge of the bridge, and it went tumbling down onto I-24 and killed somebody. Okay. In record time, they got that whole intersection fixed, revamped. It is smooth. It is badass now. If anybody's been through that intersection there, you know that is some smooth ass design going on there. And they got it done in record time. They got bonuses for getting it done right the first time and getting it done well.
That's right. That's what they should do.
That's how you do it. And see, that was the people's money. And so Tennessee did a very good thing. Bravo, Tennessee. But anyway, I wanted to get back into something before we go right down another rabbit trail. Not ready. I wanted to get into the SCOTUS. We were talking about SCOTUS. What's going on with them right now? They're under threat. They're under threat under the presumed leak, about abortion opinion and things like that. All right. But what else is going on? You've got mass shootings all of a sudden. Got the mass shootings going on. So then we were talking about the way to assassinate Harris. And so if you heard it here first, okay, basically because we got mass shootings going on, the SCOTUS is under threat and under duress. Harris, I'm thinking what they would do, especially with this last mass shooter, is that they would probably get some angry white dude to write a manifesto and do her in. That's how they would have assassinated
That's exactly
her,
right.
Because they'll get three things done at once: guns and white people.
This kid was a powder keg. He threatened a school a while back. They arrested him. They put him in the hospital. They let him out, and they just doped him up. Somebody wrote a 180-page manifesto, and they sent him out again.
Yeah, just like remember the Hollywood, Florida shooting? There was a Hollywood, Florida shooting at the airport.
Right.
That guy, if you recall, Susan, I don't know if we talked about this, but that guy had domestic violence charges on him. He had to turn in his gun to FBI in Alaska because that's where he lived. Before he gets on the plane to go to Florida, he goes back to the FBI in Alaska, gets his gun back, takes it down to Florida, and then shoots people up. Yeah. I'm looking at your face. You're like, how did that happen?
How did that
FBI is one of these things is once they get your guns, you ain't getting them back. Okay.
That's usually what
in
happens.
my book, Charm a Favor, I have a chapter that Lim Shun, who's the agent for The Voice, talks to Bill Clinton about a mass shooting. And Bill Clinton says, look, that's not going to get, people to collect guns. And he said, no, but what it'll do is it'll make people embarrassed to own guns. And it'll make owning a gun an embarrassment. People will want to get rid of their guns. This mass shooting is going to be bad. And about 2 weeks later, the Las Vegas shooting happened.
That was horrible.
Yeah.
But that was
stayed in the Mandalay Bay.
That was multiple shooters. So
I think it was. And one of them ended up with a bullet in his mouth on a hotel floor, so he couldn't tell who the others were.
I did not stay in the same wing. Okay, I was not in that wing. It's a lovely place to stay. So please don't let that shooting incident discourage you from going to a quality place to
It's one of my favorite places
Vegas.
to go at 10 p.m. every night. They have a free concert in the basement. They have a gigantic basement. It must be 500,000 square feet. And it's free, but you can sit there and smoke a cigar and drink a beer and watch a concert for nothing.
Wow.
It's pretty cool.
Well, I liked the view from where we were. It was beautiful. You could see right down the strip, the main strip there. And it's like, it was wonderful. See, please, people, I want you to understand, we're not all disparaging of the U.S. government and the United States and things like that. No. Okay, we love our country.
We do.
There is no other country like us.
Yeah.
And
this country's special.
I want to save it as much as possible.
I would never want to go anywhere else. My brother's in Portugal, and he's like, you should come to Portugal. And I'm like, nope.
Portugal, Panama, Bolivia, and Ecuador are the top expat sites in the world for Americans on fixed income.
Well, he loves it. Absolutely. He's in the Algarve, and he said he's got an acre of land and a house, a beautiful house that he bought for $200,000 on an acre of land, and he's incredibly happy. It sounds beautiful.
$200,000 for an acre?
For a house on an acre of land. It's a very good life. I mean, I have to say, it's a very good life.
Oh, I'm just, wow, the prices have gone up around the world.
Yeah. Used to be able to buy way cheaper than that in Portugal.
Right?
Well, got a really nice.
He got a hacienda.
Yeah, he got a house.
Yeah,
so anyway,
I'm sorry, we just had to take a breather there.
But the SCOTUS.
Yeah. Okay. So this thing called precedent. I think that's what happened with the Roe versus Wade and many other laws that have taken place in SCOTUS, or that they've backed up or supported laws that were not, rules that became law because of signature.
Well, for all the hysteria over Brett Kavanaugh and Amy Coney Barrett, and there has just not been radical Supreme Court decision any time that would justify the mass hysteria and violence.
Well, because they knew what was coming. They knew that these three conservatives were going to be the ones to hear a case that would overturn Roe v. Wade. And by the way, Roe v. Wade was not court precedent. That was pure activist judge action. Mm-hmm. There was no precedent. There was no law. And what that set up was the billion-dollar butchery of Planned Parenthood. And they built those abortion mills in black neighborhoods and Hispanic neighborhoods, and they killed tens of millions of babies and sold their organs for trillions of dollars to the pharmaceutical industry. It needs to end.
Well, I'll tell you something. It's also going to be true that for every state that has strict abortion protocols going forward, there will be another state like Virginia that will allow abortion up to birth.
Sure.
And that will, I think it's even Illinois or one of these states that allows, or Massachusetts, that allows abortion for 28 days after birth. You can kill newborn babies.
Yeah.
28 days after they're born?
Yes, that's Virginia.
Virginia.
Oh my God.
That you can have an abortion because
that's murder.
They're harvesting organs from
That's exactly what they're doing. That's exactly what's going on.
So for everybody who thinks that abortion is going to be restricted, this is going to the argument is going to fall. We've gone to such an extreme. We've lost our way so badly.
Well, I don't mean to say that, because the people did not vote on this. And this is what I want as far as a revolution in America. Let's say a revolution happens. Make the law that
to go to states' rights. I
agree. Right now, I agree.
Much better. And nobody should think we're going to get rid of abortion with this ruling. It's just simply to allow the states to make their own decisions, which will reflect whatever the people decide.
Exactly. And make it a referendum. Okay. If we have a revolution, okay, so as of right now, all the states, the people in each state should be going to their legislature and submitting for a referendum to make people come out and vote their conscience whether they want abortion legal in their state or not. That's how you read it. Abortion legal, yes or no. And leave it just written like that. Mm-hmm. No in case of rape, no in case of incest, no in case of saving the mother's life. That's between the doctor and the mom. Okay, if there is a complication in a pregnancy that's going to kill the mom, that's between the doctor and the mom. It has nothing to do.
But the question is how long do you allow this one? Is it 12 weeks? Is it 20 weeks? Is it 20 days?
Well, sometimes you don't know there's a problem that's going to be terminal with the fetus or the mother before 12 weeks. Mm-hmm. May not know till 6 months. And then you know. So, but if you take all of these, if you take rape and incest and all of the birth defects, it's only 2% of abortions, all of them combined.
Even if it was 20%, even if it's 20% of it, Brooks, it's still wrong. Okay? It's still wrong. Let's say, for instance, you got a 14-year-old who gets raped or whatever have you. Okay. At that point, because do we know that child is going to survive a pregnancy? Probably. Is there going to be a support network for her? Because let's be real here. If there's abortion allowed, then there should also be a support network for this girl who's got a baby on her hands. There is no reason why that baby should be without health, without food, without support, without a place to live. This nonsense where a child is born into a world, that's where they get away with the abortion argument when there's conservatives who's like, yeah, because unfortunately, and I had a huge argument with a conservative friend on Facebook about this subject, and that is there are so many abortions done by Christians I'm dead serious. There's Christians that are doing the abortions. The women are going in for abortion.
Oh, yeah.
Or the man is pressuring a girl to get the abortion because it's going to ruin his standing or whatever reasons. Please let me be real about this. And I don't want to, it's not that I'm bullying. It's just I want to get this point across. There's a lot of it going on in churches, just like divorce takes place in churches. Now, if churches were the healthy, vibrant, life-affirming places that they're supposed to be, any girl, any teenager, any young woman who shows up pregnant, whether she's married or not, it should be a huge celebration and everybody should be throwing in to help her thrive and let that child thrive, instead of looking at her like dirty looks, like she did some kind of wrong, that she committed a sin and all this other nonsense that happens in churches. That's one thing I can't stand about them, is how they treat girls and women, you know, in that problem, especially if they're the first ones to say, no, you can't have an abortion. Well, wait a minute. You going to help me out?
Yeah.
Well, you know, I'm a scientist, and I'm very proud of the industry because recently they discovered what causes pregnancy. And
oh gosh,
it is preventable.
Yes,
he's being a smart aleck.
Yeah.
But there's herbal remedies, and that's the thing. There's herbal remedies too, and that's something that Tennessee I am not too happy about.
I'll tell you that most of the abortions now are done by pills.
Right, chemical abortion, and that's what Tennessee is about to rule against. They're doing that in the legislature now.
That they can
and that is the chemical. It's called chemical abortion. And the thing is that that's not what I'm talking about either. When I say there's herbal remedies, there is a way for you to, say the morning after. Okay, let's be real. The morning after, huh?
Okay, go ahead.
The morning after, there's something called RU486, and all it does is it expels whatever's in the uterus, and that means she has an early period, right? Guess what? That doesn't mean she was pregnant. Okay,
right.
What it means that because it takes a while before the sperm gets to the egg. Okay, so it doesn't happen right after sex. Sometimes it can take a couple days even.
Yeah.
Right. Those suckers are swimming around, and for some reason, never mind. Anyway, it takes them a minute to get there. Okay. So if you take the RU486, it expels the uterus, and that literally prevents a pregnancy. So if this is available, why not? Why not have that in hospitals ready for those rape victims?
Well, they do have.
Why not? Most of the time. But if you go to a religious hospital, if that's the first emergency room you get to, guess what? It's against God's law.
But see, it could have been stopped 4 minutes before.
Well, that's true. Yeah, there's all kinds. And if you can't figure out how to have a good time without that chance, you need to start reading some more books and stop watching so many movies.
Well, guys,
Kama Sutra. There's something called the Kama Sutra, and it teaches a lot of things about sex that you can learn. I'll say it's not a family. It's not a children's program. I can say it, right, Brooks?
Yes.
Did I put you on the spot there? Sorry, buddy.
Well, okay. Let's coming back to the Supreme Court. What I'm interested, I guess, because I'm in Washington D.C. And I have to tell you that my congressman, Jamie Raskin, who's running the January 6th. So what I'm interested in is why the Democrats think that it's okay to harass the Republicans who were on Capitol Hill and on January 6th for the elections, but that's wrong and that should be prosecuted. Black Lives Matter, Antifa, the rioters, those people who are attacking the Supreme Court justice, which should be sacrosanct. Why are those people allowed and encouraged to be violent? Why are they encouraged in Washington, D.C.? I'm
going to tell you why. Ready?
Yes.
Because what they're gunning for, it's kind of like, on the schoolyard, you have a bully that picks on, keeps picking at this person on the schoolyard, right? And when that person says enough and decks the heck out of the bully and knocks him out, guess who gets in trouble? The little guy who was being picked on. Okay, all that time the teachers was totally blind, or excuse me, the authorities were totally blind to the bully picking on. Okay, and so when finally the bully gets knocked out, oh, you can't do that. That's especially girls. I know a girl who took a baseball bat to a boy because he had hit her one time too many. So she took a baseball bat to him because the teacher had told her, well, he just likes you. Right? So she took a baseball bat to him.
Wow.
And when the teacher got onto her case and the principal got on her case about it, like yelling at her, she says, but I like him. See the difference between a love crime and a hate crime, people. Know the difference. This is a real story. This is a true story. Yeah. So where I'm going with this is that they're trying to get us to react. They're trying to get us to be triggered. All right. They want us to start shooting these hooligans on the street. They want a Supreme Court justice to protect his house and his family and come out with a gun. Okay, that's what they want. That's what they're after, because that's going to make the news. That's going to reduce all. That's going to get rid of the gun laws and a conservative judge.
If a crazy person takes a gun and shoots the Supreme Court judge, then the Democrats get to another judge.
Exactly. See my point?
So
if the Supreme
it's not
Court
the
justice,
judge who's going to defend themselves. It's the harassers.
Right. But let's think about it. I am pretty certain that those 3 conservative judges on the Supreme Court have that which we love, that's in the Constitution, and will defend themselves with said items. Okay. They can defend themselves. And if they do, either they get arrested and put in jail on trial, or they get shot back. Okay. But either way, it takes out two birds with one stone. It works on the Second Amendment thing to reverse that, and it takes out the conservative that would be voting on different law in the future.
Well, so. I think that in Washington, they're starting to realize that all this liberal hysteria, the violence, the protests, the smashing windows, the attacks in restaurants. If you're a Republican and you go to a restaurant and they do terrible things. I mean,
they want one of us to punch them in the face. They want that on video.
They want someone to punch you in the face, but it's also backfiring. It
Sure.
really is making people feel that people want to have security, and they're discovering that they have alienated a large portion of the population, and it's not it's like a diminishing returns at this stage. Black Lives Matter is now exposed as a corrupt organization that's been bilking Black families for financial profiteering and racketeering motives.
Right.
So.
Well, the only thing they can do is get mad at them. I mean, they bought this $4 million house in Beverly Hills, and they're partying down at this house, and they say, well, we need a place to meet. Well, yeah, you can meet at a trailer park. You don't have to meet in Beverly Hills at a $4 million mansion that you paid cash for with the donor's money.
As much that you thought was that the donor thought was going to go to the family.
Exactly. The youth. We thought you were going to help with Black kids with college scholarships, like Ms. Corrine Brown, who's, by the way, is in prison right now. But let's not forget the federal judge. I think she was in Maryland. I wouldn't swear, but it's close. The FedEx guy came to the door at her house. She wasn't there. Her husband opened the door, and they killed him and injured the boy. And then the FedEx driver went down the road a little bit, and they assassinated him on the side of the road. They were going to kill that judge, but her husband opened the door, and he got it instead.
Oh.
Yeah. That's why I use a post office box. Yes, I do.
Well, I don't know. I just think that the Democrats are in crisis right now, and they're starting to realize that all of their strategies have backfired.
It's true. We are entering but they still don't like losing, and that's why.
They're in a crisis right now. I think they are.
Yes, they are. But we're in. They don't like losing though. Just because they're in crisis doesn't mean that they like losing. They're not going to wait till November. They're going to do something horrible.
Interesting. Okay, so one more break, guys, and we've got the last segment coming up. This show went so fast tonight. Okay, our guest tonight is Susan Lindauer. So Brooks and I will be right back here in about 3 minutes. Take a break, get some breath, get some air. We'll be right back. You're listening to TFRLive.com.
Buy this car, you'll get girls. Buy this bra, you'll get guys. And we're seeing it so much that we start believing these lies. But the truth is, the makeup they're selling to make you feel prettier is the same makeup you buy to stop feeling shittier about this lie they keep telling you that you are not enough. And what about the movies we watch, all the shows on TV? The more I watch, the more I see I need you to complete me. And yes, love is the answer, love is the key, but if you can't love yourself, how could you ever love me? And loving yourself, what does that even mean? Like massages and selfies and that sort of thing? Because the more I think about it, the more it feels weird. I've always been taught that self-love was something to be feared. I've been taught that arrogance is bad and vanity, it's not good. And even my bracelets are telling me to act how Jesus would. So what should I do?
Hey everyone, it's Chris Gio, founder of Truth Frequency Radio and host of Beyond the Veil. The mainstream media and establishment are running scared right now, and they've prominently featured TruthFrequencyRadio.com as number 89 on the federal government's hit list, also known as the fake news list, which is essentially a list of sites slated for censorship on Facebook, YouTube, Google, and other social media. Now is the time for you to get involved. Share your favorite TFR shows far and wide on forums and social media. Tell your friends and family about your favorite shows. If you're a business owner, get in touch with us to feature your product or service right here on TFR. And if you haven't done so already, become a TFR supporter now and get unlimited commercial-free downloads in high quality. Visit truthfrequencyradio.com/sign-up. Thank you for making TFR the leader in independent and uncensored talk radio. Truth Frequency Radio, your protection from deception.
Travis Cook, America's Evil Genius, here to invite you to join us every Tuesday afternoon here on Truth Frequency Radio. No, on our show you will not see a bunch of three-piece suits or a cocktail party. And you certainly won't see a bunch of inside the building crotch-kicking, no-holds-barred political discussion, the likes of which you won't see anywhere else in America's Evil Genius. We come to you every Tuesday from the outskirts of war-torn St. Louis, Missouri, where there's always a good race rider sex scandal just around the corner. Join us every Tuesday, 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central, and noon on the left coast right here on TFRLive.com. America's Evil Genius, Travis Cook, on TruthFrequencyRadio.com.
Is Truth Frequency Radio.
No hate, no hype, no fear. Real people, real radio.
And we're back, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us here on TFRLive.com and all the streams that we're platforming to, or platforms that we're streaming to. I'll get it right here in a minute. I want to say thank you so much to Brooks for doing this and hosting this for us. This is phenomenal. I'm really overwhelmed with this.
We've had We've had over 220 chats while we've been live, and they're still coming in.
Cool. Yeah.
Hi, everybody. Oh my gosh, I'm kind of like, whoa.
Okay, so I have a question for you guys.
Okay.
How do you think that think of the global reset, think of COVID, think of Ukraine. How are all of these things tying together? What are they trying to do? What are the elites, what game are the elites playing in Ukraine particularly? And are they winning or losing? This is what I keep trying to figure out. They want regime change. They're obviously using Ukraine as a proxy war against Russia. So how are they who's winning and who's losing at this point?
Okay, so in regards to the corporatocracy, they are winning here in the United States. Okay, they're winning in the United States because all these politicians are bought off, and they've got sponsors, basically your corporate sponsors. As to Russia versus Ukraine, they are losing. Okay, because Russia. I don't know if you heard about this yet, Susan, but what Russia did is they staked their rubles on gold.
Yeah.
Okay. Not only did they stake their rubles on gold, but if you got $1,400 worth of rubles, you can get an ounce gold coin.
Yeah. See, I think Russia
in the United States. Yeah. So Russia's winning that front. Okay. So this is, if you think about it like an octopus.
Ruble has rebounded. The Russian ruble, which was supposed to be taken down by the sanctions, is actually rebounded, and it's now tying into the yuan, the petro yuan, and it's accelerating the decline of the dollar. I think that this has been a huge misfire for the Biden White House. Not
absolutely.
Not that the Russians.
Right. No, the Russians are doing.
The British are saying that the Russians are losing 20 to 30% of their soldiers, but they've got more soldiers. Okay.
Let me explain something. If the United States fails economically, so too does the Bank of London, because they've got a lot of stake on our stuff. Okay. So they have. All right. So the United States already destroyed.
India, China, the BRICS nations.
Just say it, BRICS.
BRICS are all going towards the petro yuan at this moment, and they're all India's refusing to obey the sanctions against Russia. So it's all.
I say that's good, because it's not right what we've done to Russia, what our government has done to Russia. It's not right. So the thing is that I don't like the idea of any country or any country's currency being the currency, official currency of oil. Let oil be itself, okay? So you've got 21 million tons of wheat. I've got like 1 billion gallons of oil here. Let's trade.
I'm older.
Okay.
I don't like this. I do not like this.
You don't like
I
what?
do not like losing the U.S. dollar as the preeminent currency, because for global trading, I'll tell you why. Our U.S. standard of living is about to take a massive hit. And it's going to be worse than the formula. When
I get that.
The world moves, no offense, but I don't think you do.
No, go ahead.
Because when the world moves away from the US dollar, everything is going to cost we're not producing anything. We're not manufacturing anything here. And Trump.
We're a consumption.
Well, we're a consumer-oriented society and service-oriented, and believe it or not, food-oriented. Apparently, our number one industry is food and restaurants, and that's just you cannot live on bread and rice, so to speak. I mean, you have to have a car, you have to have furniture and housing and all the materials.
I have a counterpoint.
Every single thing that we have, whether it's a computer keyboard or a picture frame, it's all being manufactured in China. We're not manufacturing anything.
Okay, so I have a counterpoint to you.
Our standard of living is going to go in the toilet. Really.
That's right.
Far.
And let me be very blunt. Let me be very blunt with everybody out there. Okay, I have to be very blunt. The rest of the world is looking at this and they see the same thing you just spoke. The problem is that there's going to be a lot of them who are saying, good, maybe the Americans will learn their lesson and stop being so wasteful. Good, maybe the Americans will stop with their exceptionalism attitudes when they go overseas into different countries. Yep. Because I'll tell you what, we are the most arrogant people in a country when we go overseas. Well, tourists, yeah, visitors or government employees and their families.
Or global policy of the United States that we're superior to everyone else, and
bingo.
That we don't care about their history, their culture, their own traditions. Right. We all want them to accommodate whatever we decide.
We don't go in there with
somebody who negotiated the return of the weapons inspectors to Iraq.
Yeah.
For example, I know that. I know that very well. That's exactly, and it's funny because the Democrats see themselves as globalists, but they're actually more exceptionalist. They're more pretentious. They're more They're more
smug.
Nobody else could ever know as much as they do, and they're not listening to other people say, "Well, actually, we have a different way of thinking."
Right, but they have that same attitude. They also have that same attitude here in the United States. Like, for instance, Hillary Clinton would have, if she had been raised in another country, she never would have called a whole category of people in her country a basket of deplorables. Okay, that was absolute arrogant. And so where I'm going with this, so what I'm trying to say is that the rest of the world is looking at us like, y'all are about to get your comeuppance now.
Yes.
And all these people who have lived these lives and look down at other countries, like India, like, why are they so poor over there? What's with this third world country here? There, gotcha. And so the problem is that that we're about to get a rude awakening. Now, some of us, mostly the poor and the working poor in this country, already feel it. We've been feeling it for years. And I'll be honest with you. Sometimes I look and I'm seeing all this opulence, this fake opulence, cheap Chinese crap spent, $200 on it, like for a shirt, whatever have you. And bragging rights on name brands when it's like, you don't need all that stuff. What are you doing? You're just wasting money.
Let me drop this. I live in Maryland, which is a total Democrat state. Maryland is one of only 4 states that still think that Joe Biden is doing a good job. Joe Biden is above water in Maryland, Vermont,
oh my God,
Massachusetts, and Oregon. Those are the only 4 states. And yet right here in Montgomery County, we are bombarded with this racial equity. And they keep telling us that the white people should be concerned about our privileges and such. And yet, right next door to me, the same elitist, pretentious white people, they are white, are telling the little black people that they should be very happy living in apartments for $1,000 a month that are 10 by 12 feet the size.
Whoa, that's arrogance right there.
Of prison.
Because you and I have been overseas. We have seen other places.
House, and they have like a tiny little room, and they can look, and yet they are being conditioned to believe. They're not believing it. They are not buying it. That's the point.
Right.
They are not buying it. But the same pretentious elitist Democrats who are bragging to themselves how enlightened they are and how they are telling those people, we feel you and you should just accept whatever we're giving you because we're the enlightened ones and we know better than you. It's for the environment.
It's all check this out.
Change.
Okay, check this out.
The Democratic elites are not living the way that they expect the little black people to live.
Right. So check this out. Okay, so you mentioned the race thing, the racism. Right, I get this. So Santa Barbara, I'm sure you've seen it before. It's a very wealthy, more populated by white folks, that are wealthy. There was something that was just released on Daily Wire today. This is a cult, how wealthy Santa Barbara foreshadowed the fight against crackpot curriculum. Okay. In the fight to protect school children from radical curricula, the canary in the coal mine was California coastal community, once home to former President Ronald Reagan personal ranch, now home to ultra-wealthy white liberals, as well as large underclass of poor Hispanics. Critical race theory, which holds that American institutions and culture are systemically racist and categorizes people as victims or oppressors based on skin color, has generated a backlash in recent years from parents. But a parents group called Fair Education Santa Barbara began fighting 4 years ago, filing what it was believed to be the nation's first lawsuit against CRT and related pedagogy, which critics say poison the minds of young children. Although a federal judge ruled in 2019 that the group lacked standing to assert its claims of intentional discrimination on the basis of race, ethnicity, religion, and sex, the suit foreshadowed a national fight for curriculum transparency. This Fair Education First in the Nation lawsuit hit the spark for the prairie fire that has spread across America to provide parents with the information and knowledge needed to fight the racially divisive, anti-American, sexually over-the-top indoctrination occurring daily in our schools, beginning in kindergarten. Parents charged that the district required all students to take extreme ethnic studies, that's what it's called, courses as a condition of graduating, put a radical activist group in charge of other programming, and refused to allow parents to see the curriculum. So anyway, what they did is they said, no, these liberal, white, wealthy folks in Santa Barbara said, no. But that what a lot of people forget is that Santa Barbara is not only populated by white, wealthy Democrats. They're also populated by white, wealthy Republicans. I mean, that was the home of Ronald Reagan. Hello, so there's a lot of Republicans there.
Sure.
Say again?
Sure, but what I'm saying is sort of like that, but it's the pretentious Democrats, it's the pretentious elitists who believe they're superior, and they're going to try to reassure in a very condescending manner that the Black people that it's don't worry that you're suffering more. Don't worry, we're with you. And we don't understand their way of life.
Let me tell you something.
It's a way of telling the Black people that it's okay if you don't know that 3 times 4 is 12. And if you are a Black person, you're a Black child, and you think that 3 times 4 is really 13, well, that's okay. Because
so
you're
they're
a Black
destined
child, and we're not going to discriminate against you.
We'll take care of you. Yeah.
We're not going to make you feel bad because we know that you're really inferior.
Exactly. They're the racist
absolutely
ones.
Most insulting, degrading, denigrating these children to make them feel that they're not capable, that you have to lower your standards so much. It's the worst thing you could do to a child. The children pick up.
I agree. Yes, and what happens is
it's becoming the norm of, or in Maryland it's like a really.
Hey, it's a question in the chat room. Biden must be intentionally doing something extra for those 4 states that you mentioned.
Well, they're Vermont, Massachusetts, Maryland is the suburban community of the DC area. So yeah.
Well, he doesn't do anything for the common people in those areas. He does stuff for the political leaders in those areas. That's why, and they control the press. But what I was going to say about Ukraine, the overthrow of Ukraine happened in 2014 when Victoria Nuland and John McCain went in there and burned Kiev to the ground and pushed Viktor Yanukovych, the duly elected president, into exile. They have been controlling Ukraine for 8 years. They have funneled tens of billions of dollars through shell corporations and nonprofits in Ukraine and made themselves freaking wealthy. When March 23rd occurred, well, it was going to occur, the Nazis who were massed in Donbass and had been shelling that place for 8 years were about to invade Crimea, and it was going to be a bloodbath. Putin put his forces on the outside of the border, hoping that they would change their minds and not do it. They didn't change their minds, so he crossed the border and beat their ass. And right now, the Nazis are surrounded and they're about to be destroyed. A whole generation of Nazis gone. And then Putin will declare victory. They're already rebuilding streets and buildings and hauling food and hospitals and schools in there. And if Biden wants to continue the war,
what part are they rebuilding?
In Donbass, in Donetsk and Lugansk, and Mariupol.
Those have successfully attained independence.
Well, they weren't independent. They were under occupation by the Nazis. They were being destroyed. Ethnic Russians were being wiped out, about 40,000 of them in 8 years. Putin went in and stopped that. And he stopped the invasion of Crimea, which, by the way, has the richest oil deposit in the world. That's why they were going after it. So he's crushing the Nazis. Everything is going exactly as he planned, not necessarily on the time scale, because he has to take side trips and blow up American weapons that are trying to be shipped in there. None of them are making him to the battlefront. The Stingers and the Javelins, they're harmless. They're not doing anything against the Russians. The Russians will defeat the Nazis holed up in Azovstal, and they will be finished. I'm talking to people right there on the front lines every single day.
Yeah. I think that Russia, I think that they're trying to persuade. They're using propaganda to try to persuade the Ukrainian fighters to have confidence in their abilities to defeat the Russians, so that they won't give up.
Yep, and they're dying. And they're dying.
To the slaughter.
To inspire their motivation, because,
if you go to Russia, you go to Moscow, what you see on all the billboards, all the flags, all the cars, all the armbands, you see Z everywhere. Putin has an 85+% approval rating in Russia. And amazing. He has a coalition. The U.S. doesn't. Russia has a coalition of a majority of nations in the world on their side. And Putin is not fighting against Russia. Biden's not fighting against Russia. He's fighting against America.
Mm-hmm. Well, he told them not to Ukraine to stay out of NATO, that there has to be a border. A
buffer zone. There's got to be a buffer zone. Yeah.
And they should have listened, because it worked.
Right, and that's what they agreed to back in when the Minsk agreements.
70 years. It's gone on for 70 years. It's always been protected.
Mm-hmm. Right, and the thing is that we have encroached, NATO has encroached steadily into all the rest of the world. NATO should have been disbanded after World War II, because it's North Atlantic Treaty Organization.
Russia never attacked Germany.
That's correct.
Russia was always the ally defending Europe against Germany.
And the Soviet Union doesn't exist anymore, so NATO shouldn't either. What they've been doing is building a pan-European army, and they have aggressively caused 63 regime changes, including Libya.
Right. Well, you know that the European Union is now about to be have an armed force, a military.
The Pan-European Army. That's right.
That's about to happen. Before
the United States can no longer subsidize the world. No. And that is a scare. That is I guess because I'm a little bit older than you guys. That's a little scary. Because on one hand, all my life I have not wanted the United States to dominate these other countries. I've never wanted that. I've never been happy with how the United States performed on its foreign policy. And yet now that we're no longer going to have the option, I'm like, oh shit.
Well, for the record, it's not been the United States. It's been the agency government. It's been the global syndicate that has been running the United States for 89 years.
CIA, the OSO Social. I want to recap what we've gone over today, just so that those who are joining late could know they can go back to the archives that we have. They can go to Brooke Agnew's. Brooks, are we on your YouTube right now too?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Awesome. Okay, so you can follow Brooks Agnew at Brooks Agnew on Twitter, YouTube, Brooks Agnew, Rockfin, Brooks Agnew. Oh, just Google Brooks Agnew and find a platform that he's running on, okay? And you'll find him. Anyway, so, and of course, here on TFRlive.com. So, but that one's under Quantum Connections. That's me, or TF News. Goodness gracious, that's not been changed yet. Anyway, so there's a federal inmate who's been in prison since 1999.
And I don't want you to repeat some personal details.
Whose?
Some things I don't want you to repeat.
I'm not repeating it. I just want to recap for the audience. I want to make sure that we've got it right. So the DOD approached you in 2012 to give you some information so that you can go and find the money.
They wanted me to make some connections.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so
okay.
I have identified some of the money that he's been hiding.
Oh, unaddressed question. Samantha Power. I don't know why I wrote it here, but I've got it written down here. Samantha Power. She was part of the FISA program and everything like that. I don't know why I've got it written down there. Sorry, but next notes. Okay, so we're supposed to. You've given us an assignment to watch Hillary Clinton receiving stolen cash, October 2015 and November 2015 versus October 2016. Huh?
Watch. This is during the Durham trial. Mm-hmm. Watch to see when the monies are delivered, because it happens the end of October 24th is when in October 24th, there's a massive transfer of stolen federal monies that arrive. And exactly at that moment, on October 24th, our friend Chip Tatum signs for the money. October 25th, Lockheed Martin and Hillary Clinton make a huge payoff to Terry McAuliffe. Terry McAuliffe turns around October 27th and 29th and makes a huge payoff to Andrew McCabe's wife. And there's also simultaneously a payment to Bruce Orr's wife at exactly the same time. And then the meeting in January, right? Mm-hmm. This is a meeting of the group that is financed by the stolen federal money.
Yep.
And that is racketeering. And it all happens at exactly this very tight little period of time. It's all within a 60-day period, that all 2-month, 8-week period that all this stuff goes on in terms of the financing. And that makes it a financial racketeering case.
Okay, so I have a question for you. Do you have all these details? You're throwing out facts and spitting out some good information here. Do you have a list of that written down? It's been in your head? Girl, get it on paper so that people can track it, huh?
It's in my head.
No, it needs to get down on paper or in text or something like that, because
in my head.
No, write it down. Get it down.
Someday they're gonna say, that's Susan Lindauer. She got shot, and I'll be on the Clinton hit list.
Well, time is of the essence, dear. Okay.
I would say that I would be a candidate for the Clinton hit list. So, but then also the other one you need to know about is James Comey's brother, Peter Comey, is the tax attorney for the Clinton Foundation. And there's
God, really?
Yeah. So you've got Andrew McCabe, Bruce Orr, who are directly connected to the stolen money. Then you have Peter Comey, James Comey's brother, who is laundering the money, the stolen federal money, and investing it and making the tax payment. And that is important in October 2015, October, November 2015, and October, November 2016. So you have all these dirty FBI people. That's
Hold on, hang on a second. Peter Comey is what kind of lawyer?
What?
He's a tax attorney.
Tax attorney, thank you.
For the Clinton Foundation. And it's so incestuous. And she was paying off everybody. That is bribery of law enforcement.
No wonder she felt like she had won the election, because she thought she had goddess control over everything. She had so much money flying everywhere. So no wonder she thought legitimately That's exactly. And so Bill jumping up and down that night and everything, they had no idea what was really going on in the ballots.
Nope. She forgot about one thing. Us.
Yes, she did.
We are the mainstream media now, not them.
Mm-hmm.
They're the fake stream news. We're the mainstream news.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Susan, tell everybody where they can reach you and where how to get a hold of you and get your book, perhaps, or whatnot.
My book is called Extreme Prejudice, and it's about my ordeal fighting George Bush on the Patriot Act and my work in Iraq in 9/11.
All right, everybody. That seems like that's the end. And I want to say thank you so much for everybody tuning in tonight. Go check out Susan Lindauer on my channel. Take care of yourself. Hey, stay tuned.